Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope all is well. Anyway, my name is Muhammad Lutfi bin Zamri. So the title of my presentation today is the representation of Wendigos as the monstrous feminine in charm. Before I go further, let me brief you a little bit about Charm. So Charm is a 1998 TV series, a supernatural tale that explores the bond between three sisters who are cast into a realm of witchcraft and sorceries. The main characters are the three sisters, as you can see from the screen. In the middle is the elder sister, Prue, who had the power of telekinesis or moving object. On the left side is the middle sister, known as Piper. She had the power of molecular immobilization or to freeze time. And on the right side is Phoebe, the younger sister, who possesses the power of premonition. In case you are wondering how did the powers activated, so one day in the first episode they were playing with Ouija board and the word attic appeared. So one of the sisters, Phoebe, decided to go to the attic because she saw the word attic in the Ouija board, and she discovered a book of shadow. She opened the book of shadow and read a page of the book of shadow, and bang! Suddenly the powers were activated. So for today's presentation, I will only focus on one of the episode, which is season 1, episode 12, The Wendigos. In this episode, a Wendigo attacked Piper when her car broke down. However, she survived the attack thanks to Billy, a passerby or a stranger who was at the scene. But the Wendigo managed to inflict her arm. So what is a Wendigo? There are actually many different versions of Wendigo, just like many other creature in other mythologies. But a common perception of Wendigo is that they are actually human beings who turn into a Wendigo due to a harsh winter. They were hungry, so they resorted to eating another human being, which is also known as the cannibalism. So after they have eaten human flesh, they will isolate themselves from the tribe and run inside the deep forest, eventually turn into a Wendigo. So according to Algonquin tribe, once they have consumed human flesh, they will have more powers, including enhanced hearing, vision, speed, and strength. So they become more powerful. However, once they have started to eat human flesh, they will yearn for more. So they need to find more humans in order to feed themselves in order to survive. For today's presentation, feminist theory of psychoanalysis, primarily the concept of objection that is highlighted by Julia Kristeva and Barbara Creed monster feminines are employed to investigate the relationship between women and the rejection of patriarchy. Next, I will continue with Julia Kristeva's objection. So the word abject is devised by Kristeva in order to investigate the response of human beings to unclean human body. For instance, the wound, diseases, body fluids. These instances are called abjects because they reside in between the uncertain that does not respect borders, position, and rules. Moving on to Barbara Creed's horror and the monstrous feminine. Barbara Creed described the female character who are often depicted as monsters in horror movies due to two reasons. Number one, due to patriarchal decree that seeks to make it an ideology of which women are weak and often associated with negative things like ghosts, monsters. And secondly, due to the construction of the female body itself, which is associated with abjection, namely the uterus and menstruation. So now I would like to give you examples of patriarchal depiction found in this episode. So as you can see from the screen, there's a man holding a gun. That is actually Billy, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. Billy is the one who saved Piper from the Wendigos attack. This is actually absurd, yeah, because Piper is supposed to be so powerful because she's a witch, possesses a power to freeze time, but suddenly she become weak and needed help from Billy. So in a way, it's like portraying a damsel in distress in this episode. Another patriarchal depiction would be in a scene where Piper was taken to a hospital after the attacks. and she mentioned about her blood type to the doctor who was treated her. Unfortunately, her rare blood type, AB negative, is so rare that she did not share her blood type with her two sisters. So Andy, the police inspector, volunteered to donate his blood in case of anything. This is also absurd because suddenly she needed another man to save her life. So in a way, it is actually another instances that demonstrate how patriarchal images still permeates the witches who were supposed to be powerful and did not require any patriarchal intervention. At the hospital, the viewers were also introduced to another character. As you can see from the screen, this is Agent Fallon, FBI agent, who was in charge of a Wendigo case because apparently the Wendigos had attacked many people. Piper was the only person who survived the attack. And she actually described Wendigos as neither human or animal. This actually fits Christiva's objection that Wendigos is a creature that exists in between. Okay, now let's move on to Piper's transformation into a Wendigo. As I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, even though she survived, the Wendigo managed to inflict her arm. So what happened to Piper? She had transformed herself into a Wendigo. So the cypher began with her arm, which became hairy. Christiva's objection concerns with the disruption of identity system order or the transgression of the border of normality. So in this case, Piper is the object because she has wounds that turns into hair. Piper's disgusted at herself. She was even disgusted at herself, which can be interpreted in Christiva's objection theory. The horror that Piper felt in response to a threatened breakdown in meaning is caused by the loss of boundaries between herself, Piper, and the other, the Wendigo, the hairy arm, causing the loss of a sense of self. And at the end of the episode, um, the viewers found out that the Wendigo who attacked Piper was actually Agent Fallon. So from a feminist perspective, Agent Fallon and Pipers, they are two Wendigos. They have been demonized into savage creature disrupting the patriarchal order. How? Agent Fallon uh, was powerful because she's the FBI agent. Um, so Fallon becomes a metaphor for a monstrous woman, technically because she is the Wendigo who appears as human interchangeably. So by being a monstrous woman, she represents the incongruous duality. Number one, as human, she embodies a classy woman, from her appearances, beautiful, well-dressed, courteous, but she can also be aggressive and possesses brutal strength because she's the Wendigo. So Piper and Agent Fallon are the disobedient women who refuse to conform the patriarchal paradigm, and they must be vanished to reclaim the norm. At the end of the episode, both of them appeared in the park. The park actually looked like a forest in this episode. It is significant because the park, which looked like a forest, um, is important because forest is where man is associated with. In the past, men hunt wild animals in the forest. Coincidentally, Andy was there when Agent Fallon turned into a Wendigo. So in order to save himself, he shot Agent Fallon a gun, but he failed to do so. So in other words, we can say that Andy was emasculated. Prue and Phoebe arrived at the scene because they were looking for Piper. Unfortunately, when they arrived at the scene, there were two Wendigos. Both Piper and Agent Fallon. Prue was panicked, not knowing what to do, so she decided to take a chance and take a shot at the one of the Wendigo. The Wendigo froze a time, meaning it's actually a Piper. So Prue directed the flare gun to the other Wendigo, Agent Fallon. And in the end, Agent Fallon died. So in conclusion, the supernatural entities in the Charm series is an articulation of Western femininity gone wrong. Their powers only create disturbances, thus they are required to portray as abject, nightmarish, and wicked. The depiction with the disruption is necessary to justify the elimination of the Wendigos at the end of this episode in order to restore the patriarchal order. That's all from me. Thank you.